morning, Quadcopter 101 here. I have something really neat for you today. I do. This is the Hogs Helix Sentinel. Notice the nice carrying case this thing comes in. It's the Helix Sentinel. I'll show you here what it is in a second. But first off, I must admit, this is a nice carrying case that's very nice and durable. Should be able to take it with you just about anywhere. But let's open this up and see what we got inside here today. This is the Helix Sentinel. As you can see, it is a quadcopter, of course, since this is Quadcopter 101 channel, but a very interesting quadcopter. It has a protective foam ring, but this foam ring can easily be removed if you want to fly this in a more sporty mode. You know, the foam ring is mainly intended for beginners to help protect the quadcopter's blades, especially in crashes. But keep in mind, outdoors, these rings and these blade protectors also can become hooks if you get stuck in a tree. So consider removing them as you become more proficient in flying. The quadcopter's battery is internal. Unfortunately, you can't change it in between flights. You need to recharge it via a USB port on the top of the quadcopter here. And when you plug in the USB port, you'll see a red blinking light, and that red blinking light becomes steady when the quadcopter is fully charged. It does have an on-off port on, or an on-off plug on it, switch, I'm sorry. You activate it by turning it on like so and turning it off like so. Looking on the bottom of it, it comes with a 1280 by 720p, no kidding, HD camera on it. And it actually, you know, the video I've seen indoors looked reasonably well. It also has an SD card slot for recording that video. And on top of it, it does have FPV via Wi-Fi. So you can record actual 1280 by 720p HD video and also at the same time fly FPV using Wi-Fi FPV, and we'll get into that a little bit later here. One final thing, and this is really cool, and this actually does work as compared to another quadcopter I did with the same feature, is that it does have obstacle avoidance sensors, infrared sensors that can detect if you're near an obstacle and automatically push off from it. And this does work very well as compared to the other quadcopter that I recently, that was the K80 Pantoma. This one does sense a wall a good 2 or 3 meters away. So you need actually a big room if you want to fly with these obstacle avoidance sensors, or as I was flying in a small room last night, this thing was bouncing off the walls like a pinball. You know, bing, 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 avoiding the walls. I had to turn off that obstacle avoidance sensor because it was getting a little annoying the way it was bouncing, but it does work, folks. This actually does work. I was surprised. Let's see how well it works outdoors, though, today in bright sunlight. I'm curious about that. I'm going to try to go get close to the quadcopter and see if it'll move away from me automatically. Looking at the frame of the quadcopter, you know, it's very reminiscent of the old Ladybirds or the WL Toys V212-222-959, the UDI 818. It has these carbon fiber booms on each arm. So very reminiscent, except the central canopy is very different from those, and what's included with that central canopy, you know, namely the real HD camera, SD card slot, and FPV transmission and obstacle avoidance system. That's very different. Those weren't included in those previous birds. Let's go over the other things in this box. We get Fpv goggles. Now, these FPV goggles aren't real, you know, they don't include a receiver. What they are, all you do is you place your smartphone inside it and close it up, and you can view your smartphone via these goggles, just like an FPV system, or a real FPV receiver. And it is adjustable, the view, so that you can adjust primarily for nearsighted people. You can move this in or out to adjust the focus. Now, I'm not going to be flying with these today. Today I'm going to be doing a basic flight of the quadcopter to demonstrate its FPV, or not its FPV capability, its flight capability, especially with the foam ring on it. I'm going to do 2 flights of this, folks, 2 different reviews, but today's review is going to be a basic review. Now let's go over the transmitter. Transmitter is very basic, well, not very basic, but it's unusual design actually compared to other transmitters. But this button up here is for taking photos. This button here, if you press it, is for starting and stopping video. Here's your on-off button, and notice that it does have a centered throttle stick, which tells us that this quadcopter does have altitude hold. It's an altitude hold quadcopter. And this is your roll, and this is your pitch. And these trim buttons are actually trim buttons for yaw, for pitch, and for roll. Now, you can fly this in two different modes, either with obstacle avoidance on by sliding this button to the left, or turning off obstacle avoidance by sliding this button to the right. And also, this will do automatic takeoff once you bind it to the quadcopter by pressing this button here, or an automatic landing by pressing this button here. And that's about it. Okay, let's go for a flight. The first flight of the Hogs Helix Sentinel. Okay, for this first flight, I'm just going to demonstrate its flight capability. I do have it. Do I have it bounded? No, I don't. I got to turn the transmitter on, and the green light, or the red flashing red light, will switch to a steady green light, indicating that I do have bind to the controller. Now, to take off, all we need to do is press this button here, and I'm going to put it in obstacle avoidance mode, and we're going to do a takeoff. Very simple to take off. Let's bring it a little closer, and let's try that obstacle avoidance. We're going to go upwind, which wind is coming from that direction there. Let's see if it senses me. Yeah, no, not in daylight. It doesn't work, folks. Indoors at nighttime, that obstacle avoidance sensor does work very well, but as feared, in daylight, it doesn't really sense you. So let's fly it around. First off, let me see if I can do actual recording via its SD card camera. I'm not sure if it's recording or not, but we'll go up a little bit higher with this and see how it flies. Now, as I don't have the app attached, I'm not sure if it's recording or not, but I'm hoping it is. It's flying very nicely, by the way. Let's bring it down lower. And overhead. I got a feeling that SD card's not recording since I'm not using the app with this first flight. I'm just flying it. Lowering throttle. Bring it down some. Pushing throttle big time down. It descends very slowly. I have to say that, folks. Very slow descent. And obstacle avoidance. I'm turning it off since it's not working. Let's try its maneuverability. Going up a little bit, a little more throttle, reducing that throttle. We gave it too much throttle. And I got a wind coming from my back here, so that wind seems to be affecting the altitude hold, but it is flying with altitude hold. Going upwind. The wind is off in that direction there. And I'm going to let go of the stick and let the wind bring it back. This is the wind we got, folks. It's just flying backwards through that wind. So yeah, if you're flying outdoors, I strongly recommend considering removing the foam. Foam is mainly for indoor flight, and let's try that. Let's see if we see a lot more change in flight performance by removing the foam. I'm going to do an automatic landing. Landing button pressed. Let's see it land, and there it goes. That's how it lands. Okay, let's remove that foam and see how it performs without the foam. And the foam just pops off, really. Very easy to take off the foam. And I'm going to put it by this. And this is what it looks like without the foam attached. Pretty nasty looking little thing, huh? Let's give it a flight without the foam now. So, again, the foam is easy to install and easy to remove, but if flying outdoors, take off that foam. Taking off again. This is its stability on a takeoff. Flies very nice. Giving it forward push. And another thing I noticed, without that foam, with that foam installed, it's real jerky maneuvers. But without the foam, it becomes a much more smooth flyer, much more proportional in its ability to fly. So yeah, remove that foam. That foam is for beginners only. Without that foam, very nice, smooth flyer. Let's see if that obstacle avoidance works without the foam. Turning obstacle avoidance back on, going upwind a bit here, pulling it toward me. Nah, doesn't see me in the daylight. So removing the foam, going downwind a bit, see how it performs downwind. Coming upwind. Oh man, it's a nice flyer without the foam. I wished I had started without the foam. Look at that thing fly. Nice, smooth, great for beginners. So beginners, unless you're flying indoors, like I said, you know, you can fly with that foam indoors. It'll protect it a little bit more. But if you go outdoors, you want to remove the foam. And it just pops right off. So, let's see. This does not have flips. I could not find any indication of a flipping ability. And probably if you did do flips with this, you'd probably burn out the motor some. So I don't recommend flips. Let's go up higher and see how it performs. Up a little bit higher. I want to see if it comes back down. I had a hard time bringing it back down before with the foam installed on this. But oh, it looks good up there, I'll give you that. Nice and smooth in its flying ability. And I'm flying through the sun. Shouldn't be flying through the sun. Okay, now I'm reducing throttle to see how fast it'll come down. It still descends rather slowly. I got full throttle down, and that's its descent from up above with the throttle stick all the way down. So it doesn't descend very fast. So keep that in mind, folks. There, Hogs Helix Sentinel. Flies very well for a good long time. So yeah, tomorrow or the next day, I got to recharge this. Got to take it home and recharge it. But we'll demonstrate the FPV capability. I'll put it in its goggles and I'll see if I can actually fly it FPV. We'll also demonstrate the camera ability on this quadcopter. Its recording ability, since I believe you need to use the app to record, even though it has a built-in recorder. We'll see how that performs. Oh, by the way, that lens swivels up and down on the front of this, so you can get good views with it. I forgot to mention that. It's got a swivel lens. But yeah, the way this flies, this would be excellent for beginners. Very stable, very smooth, very proportional in its flying ability. And I think we're about out of gas here. Let's see what it does. And that's it. And it shuts down. So that's the Helix Sentinel, first flight. Again, very smooth flyer, good flyer outdoors once you remove the foam. One thing though, these sensors don't work very well outdoors, but they do work indoors. I'll have to demonstrate that also if I get a chance here. Find a nice room to bounce it off the walls. It was bouncing off my walls at home like a ping pong ball. Not a ping pong ball, but a pinball. You know, it was kind of annoying actually. I had to turn it off. So, hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.